Bonjour, bienvenue à la nouvelle édition de Français pour les anciens étudiants d'espagnol. Aujourd'hui, on va discuter le verbe faire, le verbe irrégulier faire. So today we're going to talk about the irregular verb faire. Vous aurez besoin de votre cahier, bien sûr, et un stylo ou un crayon. Puis, tenez la prochaine page. Pour moi, c'est la page 31. Et comme toujours, on va commencer avec la date. Et c'est aujourd'hui pour moi, c'est le 13 novembre 2016. Of course, always use the correct date for you. And today we have le verbe faire. Okay. Now, faire is one of the big four irregular verbs in French. You can't get away from it. You can't get around it. There is no way to sort of deal with it. The big four verbs en français, c'est être, avoir, faire, et aller. So they are être, to be, avoir, to have, faire, to make or to do, et aller, to go. So today, on va discuter le verbe faire au présent. So we're going to talk about faire in the present tense. Now, we have a verb that works like this in espagnol. So in espagnol, nous avons le verbe hacer. Et hacer, ça veut dire to make or to do. Now, as a teacher, I tend to make a big deal out of hacer being irregular, but you know what? It's really not. It's a regular ER verb with an irregular yo form. Okay? So the forms of hacer were hago, haces, hace, hacemos, hacéis. And remember, the accent goes over the E in the vosotros form. Why? Because this is an ER verb. And then we have hacen for the third person plural. If you don't remember what the forms of these were, because you haven't looked at Spanish in a while, I'll throw the subject pronouns in here. Yo, tú, él, and you remember that ella and usted also work like él. Then we have nosotros, vosotros. And then we have ellos, and of course, ellas and ustedes. Okay? So that's how this works in Spanish. And you may also remember that in Spanish, we used this for a whole lot of different expressions that didn't necessarily have to do with making or doing. And you might remember that we used it, for instance, with the weather. So we had hace buen tiempo, which is it's good weather. This may be the way that you remember this particular verb. Okay? Bon ben. Now, en français, c'est un verbe vraiment irrégulier. This is really actually an irregular verb in French. So, en français. En français. This is truly an irregular verb in French because RE verbs don't usually conjugate the way that we're about to conjugate this. Okay? So we have faire, which en français, ça veut dire to make or to do. Now, sometimes you'll find that textbooks will sometimes translate this verb as to play. This is the least common translation of this verb, and since the verb jouer is really closer to what we mean for to play, please do not use this verb regularly to mean to play. Okay, so we have faire, which is to make or to do. So let's throw in our subject pronouns, je, tu, il, elle, on. And we've been doing this long enough that I'm going to take the lazy way out today, and I'm going to chain these together to indicate that they all take the same form. Then we have nous, vous, il pluriel et elle pluriel, and again I'm going to chain these together because you've been doing this long enough to know that these two do indeed conjugate the exact same way. Okay, so in order to do this, normally what we would do with faire is we would drop the RE, and this works to a point. So we have je fais, tu fais, il, elle, on fait, F-A-I-T. nous faisons. And you begin to see why this is irregular, because over here in the plural part, where did this S come from? No idea. But to be quite honest, that's just the way it is. You have to learn it. Vous faites. And remember, this is faites. This is not a two-syllable word. And you'll notice that it is quite possibly the first vous form that you've come across. Nope, second vous form that you've come across that does not end in EZ. So it's fait. And il and elle pluriel font. Okay? And yes, that is spelled exactly like the word font in English. All right. Now, things that you need to know. Faire is used avec beaucoup d'expressions idiomatiques. So we use this with a lot of idiomatic expressions. So let's actually start with the easiest one to remember, which is weather. So, il fait du vent, which is it's windy. Il fait des nuages, which is it's cloudy. Okay. Oh, hey, look at that. Just like from our last lesson. Contractions with de. Strange. Why would that be in this chapter? Because when you do faire, a lot of times you'll do the contractions with de. Because faire, de, is very common en français. Bon, so let's look at some of the instances where this happens. A lot of times faire de is followed by an activity. Not necessarily a verb, but an activity. And you'll see this reflected in the vocabulary in your textbook. So for instance, faire des courses, which is to run errands. Faire de l'athlétisme, to do track, which is interesting because a lot of times a lot of times where you use faire de with a like an active activity or something that you might otherwise play, like a sport, it's something that in English we don't use the verb maker to do. This literally says to do, faire des courses, to do the running around. This is to do the track. And in English we don't say we run, we say we run track, we do track, but we don't say we make track or we play track. Okay? Faire du théâtre, to do theater. So a lot of times in English, that's what these expressions will be. And what ends up happening with faire de followed by an activity is you're going to conjugate faire. And then whatever happens with the de. So to take a look at this, we have faire de. So we're going to conjugate as normal. However you would normally take care of this verb in this sentence. Past, present, future, whatever. Do it. Okay, that's what I want you to do. And then de, of course, take a look at the next word. So it acts with the next word. And usually that next word is going to be le, la, les, l'apostrophe. Le, la, les, l'apostrophe. So however you would normally take care of that. As we've seen up here, faire des courses, de plus les equals des. Faire du théâtre, de plus le equals du. Faire de l'athlétisme, de followed by l'apostrophe. Pas de change. There is no change. And when you make this negative, of course, so what is it that we don't do? On ne fait pas des photos. I don't take photographs. So we don't take photographs. That's how it looks in the negative. And remember, the negative, which is a two-part expression, will usually go on either side of your verb. Okay? Bon ben, that's enough for today, for this session. S'il vous plaît, ajoutez cette information à l'indice. So pour moi, c'est le 13, 11, 16, and that is faire, verbe irrégulier, Bon, c'est page 31, 32. Merci, au revoir.